Viltrox 135mm 1.8 is a hero of the day, and I'm excited about this lens because like affordable 135mm lens at 1.8 is kind of rarity, and like times are changing. Lab series from Viltrox is something like L series in Canon or like G Master in Sony, so it's a very high quality lens. And let's talk about build quality and generally quality of this lens. So the build quality is very, very good. It's kind of heavy, but that's something you would expect from a 135mm 1.8 lens full frame. But it's definitely not too heavy, not too bulky, not too big. There are physical controls on this lens. So you have autofocus limiter, which is full. Then you have 0.7 meters to 2 meters, and then you have 1.5 meter to infinity. You have click and declick mechanism that you may know from G Master lenses from Sony. So you can hear for yourself. Then no click. You have OLED display here, which you can program, and if you're a videographer, that can be a treat because you can program it between two focal points using one of the extra buttons on this lens. Then you have autofocus and manual focus switch. You have two programmable buttons. You know, this is very hard to pronounce, programmable buttons. Now, on the back part of it, when the mount is, you have USB-C connector for future firmware updates, and later we will talk about firmware upgrades because it probably needs one. And then you have this weather sealing here that works pretty fine, so that says it's a professional lens. You have 82mm filter thread, which is kind of big, but that's something again you would expect from 135 1.8. So if you want to buy filter for this guy, that can cost you some money, but again, 135 1.8, right? So build quality is really good. Everything works fine, and you know, it's really like, it feels like G Master, honestly. Not maybe as robust as solid, but pretty close. But let's talk about the most important thing, which is how it performs in real life, how it performs in some tests. First, sharpness. Sharpness is just really good. It's awesome. In the center of the frame, it is razor sharp. In the corners, it loses a little bit of sharpness, but nothing dramatic there. There's a little drop in sharpness, not in contrast that much, but in sharpness, but it's barely noticeable and almost non-important because it's a portrait lens, so like corners are not that important. But if corners do matter for you, then 2.2 is the sweet spot of this lens. Now, when we talk about sharpness, let's talk about close-up sharpness. In close-up, it is as sharp as from the distance, so that is pretty amazing. However, in a telephoto lens, that is more expected. Again, corners a little softer, but negligible, and center of the frame, as you can see for yourself, it is sharp. There's a lot of detail, so it works perfectly fine with my A7 Mark IV 32 megapixel sensor. Now, let's talk about bokeh, which is one of the most important things and something you would probably want to buy this lens for, and how it separates your object from the background. So the look of unsharp parts of images is beautiful. It's very round, it's very soft, it's very smooth, even sometimes to my taste a little too smooth. I'm saying that because I like a little bit of this retro vibe in some of the lenses I've been testing recently, but that's just me. But it's a perfect bokeh. Honestly, like, I cannot complain. The separation from the background is beautiful, and you can see for yourself, like my wife's portraits, it's not made like, it's not an elaborate portrait, it's just a portrait. So I wanted to just show you how it works when you don't have this beautiful surrounding, beautiful like stylized people and so on, just you know, daily photo, and it works really fine. Now, when it comes to autofocus performance, there's a little bit of issue here. Not issue, that's too strong to say, but it can get lost. It can start to hunt and pump a little bit when you change your focal distance dramatically. So basically, if you want to refocus from one point to another point, specifically in photography, because in video it works flawlessly, but in photography it can start to have this hiccup. Pop, 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 pop. You can see on the B-roll probably that's you know, easier to understand what I'm talking about. But generally speaking, the autofocus is very fast, is very quiet, very responsive. It works fine. Just this little thing, maybe it can be ironed out with some future firmware upgrades, but I don't know. That's something we have for now. Let's talk about chromatic aberration. Chromatic aberration with this guy is pretty well controlled. You can see a little bit of bluish chromatic aberration and a little bit of orange on the top. So it's not perfect, but it's absolutely good enough. Work against strong light, it's well controlled. I mean, there is some flaring, there is some, you know, drop of contrast there, but something you would expect from such a huge glass. However, I gotta say that, you know, like there's a big shader like included in the set. So if you use it, probably you are fine. So if you like to work a lot against the harsh light, you definitely want to use this accessory. But that's something you would expect from this lens. Now let's talk about distortion. So distortion is almost non-existent, and I would expect some kind of pillow distortion there, but really not that much, almost none. So very good job in most of categories here. Stars are visible, are okay, but this is not normally not a type of lens that you would use to create this, you know, star effect in the night. It's more of a portrait lens. And now let's talk about the real value of this lens. So I would never release an actual you know, review of the lens without using it in real life with real clients, with real jobs. So my wife actually took it to a couple of sessions of her clients, and she took some amazing photos with it. So if you want to see the look of it, just look at these pictures right now. It looks amazing. The separation from the background is beautiful. It gives you like this lens is a tool to make you stand out from the competition, because most of photographers, they either work mainly on 50mm lens like we do, and actually it is a very good strategy, but if they want a portrait lens, a lot of them look toward 85mm. But if you want to excel, do something different, do something that is more dreamy, more like out of this world, 135mm can be a very good choice, and there's much less photographers using this kind of focal length. And if you are okay to carry this heavy block of, you know, composite and glass, then definitely it pays back, which you can see for yourself. It is very dreamy, it is very beautiful, it creates very unreal images, and this is something you expect from such a bright telephoto lens. So in general, I would say it is a very good lens, and Viltrox is proving that it's not anymore a Chinese discounted or, you know, some kind of B type of brand, but they are making glass that can easily compete with G Masters, with L lenses, N lenses, whatever lenses, you name them, okay? So highly recommend that. Very good job, Viltrox. Thank you for releasing this lens, and at this price point, it is one of the best 135mm at 1.8 for full frame cameras. Guys, if you like this review, please leave thumbs up, subscribe, and I see you in the next one. Cheers.